Okay, we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we are on Instagram in theory, and on YouTube. Hello everyone. This is Jason from Drag 'Em Out. I'm here with Kathy Campbell, producer Kathy. Hey Kathy, how are you? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we are getting audio. Let's see. I think we're all good to go. Okay. Yes. So, hello to everyone who is joining here. We are just coming off of our live tweet session with after watching episode 4, The Dragon Reborn. Let's give everyone a minute here, and we're going to jump right in. So, I first of all, Kathy, give me high level of the 4 episodes that have aired so far that you have seen, of the 4 that have aired, which how does this one rank in terms of how awesome it was? Is this your favorite, your least favorite? Where is it? That's right. So, okay, so we're even jumping ahead. So, yeah, so for those who don't know, Kath and I, we've seen the first 6 episodes. We've talked about these on our previous YouTube videos. Our the Dragonbot team, we've discussed this on our YouTube channel and other places. But yeah, Kathy, I'm with you. I think that this is most definitely this is the best of the 4 episodes that we have seen so far. I agree, it's way up there. My heart has a special place for another episode yet to come that we can talk about when we get closer. But this one, every time that I've seen it, including again today, live just a few minutes ago, it gets better and better. And oh my gosh, Nynaeve steals the show in this one. There's great performances throughout. So, Kathy, I'm getting reports that your audio is not going through. So I guess they can hear me. So, oh boy, let's see here. We might just need to fix this on the fly. I'm not sure where that input is coming from. Um, Let me see if I can fix this real quick. Yeah, let me. Yay, technology. Okay. All right. Well, we are not. I'm not going to be able to figure this out right now because there's way too many screens up or whatever. So, um, we are going to. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take questions from the chat here. So throw questions at me, Cassie. You can throw questions out here, whatever. And then I can respond on here. Just because I'm not gonna be able to get this audio going here in this live format right now. Let's see. We can try one. Yeah, I don't get it. It's not showing up as one of the things. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's not showing up. Let me try one more thing here. Audio input capture. Yeah, I'm not going to get it. Okay, well, thank you all for bearing with us. So, anyway, that was Kathy talking about how much she loved episode 4, um, especially because of all her connection with the Aes Sedai stuff. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the chat here and here. I want to hear from you, those people that are online and watching us. Tell me what was your favorite moment from this latest episode, the Dragon Reborn episode 4. Um, Spoiler questions. Let's avoid spoilers from the books. Let's keep it to the TV show for now. So we'll do that. Um, but Yeah, so let me hear what you guys think of that. For me, I think without a doubt the most powerful moment was at the end with the raging sun comment with Nynaeve, and where it's such a fantastic setup where you've got Moraine telling Loghain that you are as powerful as you are a candle compared to the raging sun that will be the Dragon Reborn. And then lo and behold, moments later, Nynaeve shows up and has this moment. And I think that this moment is the I think it's this moment that we've had and I don't want to say we've been waiting for in the show, but it's like this moment where it's one of the grandest moments that we've had so far in the TV show. I talked about this a little bit in the tweet stream, but each one of the five candidates from the five candidates who could be the Dragon Reborn need to have some sort of evidence for why they could be the dragon. And we saw a little bit in today's episode with Matt. He has this corruption sickness that could be that could be related to the madness. It's similar to a lot of the visuals that we see with what Matt has going on, are similar to the visuals that we saw from surrounding Loghain. We've got some of the other characters have been exhibiting. Egwene, we know, is a powerful channeler, and she's the one person that fits the mold of she's the right age, plus she's a confirmed channeler. Matt and Perrin, their evidence has been more subtle, but it's on the way and it's coming. But we know that there are things there. But then today we get Nynaeve's, making her case, and even though she doesn't quite fit the age range that Moraine feels, it's hard to deny that when you've got someone who exhibits that much power, it's hard to deny that she's got something going on. So for audiences who have not read the books, for people who are just seeing this through the TV show, there's some really compelling evidence right there. Taking a look here at the let's see, some of the favorite moments that I see here in the chat is I see that the King of Gildan dying to rescue Loghain. Yeah, what I liked about that was that in the opening moment made a great bookend to the episode. In the opening moments of the show, we see the King of Gildan. We think this guy's toast, right? His soldiers are falling left and right in front of Loghain as Loghain comes onto the scene, and he has no chance against Loghain. And Loghain certainly has his life in his hands, and the corruption, we'll talk about that in a second, the madness as it manifests throughout him is whispering to him to kill him, kill him, kill him. And but he spares him. Loghain makes the decision to spare the king and makes an ally out of him. And then lo and behold, we see the king and his army show up at the end to attack these Aes Sedai to rescue Loghain. And one of the things that I found was really interesting about Loghain and how he was in here and how it ties to this army is that you get the impression, at least I got the impression, that Loghain was biding his time, that he was in that cage waiting for something, waiting for his time, waiting for his people to come and show up. I don't know. What did you think about that? People who are watching, Kathy, I know we can't hear your audio here, but thumbs up. I mean, you agree? Like, was Loghain just waiting there? Yeah. So I think his. Oh, we can try that. Yeah, let me try this. Let me try that. Technical issues. Let's try this. Hopefully we don't get an echo. Let's see. The microphone. How does that? Kathy, say something.
I am saying something. Audience, let us know if you can hear me. Possibly through this. We might have to have Jason talk a little louder too, but we can see if maybe we can have a conversation.
I think that's going to work here. Yep, we're getting a thumbs up that it works. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. I 100% think Logan was absolutely teasing the Aes Sedai. There's no way the power that he easily pushed out when he escaped, when his crew came to protect him. He was waiting patiently. That's why he was playing with them. I would love to know backstory on how that connect, like how he actually did get caught. Like, did he mean to do it to get spies on the ice? Like, who? I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? And that's like,
yeah, it is
so confusing.
We don't know if that was an intentional thing, if he had let himself be captured. I'm not sure what advantage he would have gotten from letting himself be captured. But it's also interesting that he used a trick that, we saw this in the books too, I won't say where, but another time where, there's a large, maybe what happened is that there was a large group of women who, Aes Sedai, who showed up to capture Logain. But then he bided his time until the rest of them went to sleep, or that there's only a few, until there were just few enough people available that he could break out. And also he needed to wait until his army was there so that he could escape. So maybe what it is that, he knew that like he can't take on 13 of them. He can't take on, maybe even, 5 or 6 or 7 of them. But he could probably break a shield out of 2 or 3 of them. But if he broke out, there'd be a whole bunch of Aes Sedai running at him right away. So he needed to make sure there was an army there as well.
Yeah, because if he escapes, there's no guarantee that he would have horses or that he would have anybody to help cover his tracks or be able to like have any sort of support team. And even though, he's super powerful, but he wants to have the Aes Sedai on his side. He wants them to follow him. So he doesn't necessarily want to just like murder everybody because he could. And so waiting for the army to come so that he has that support he needs and be able to come in and turn around and do what he wants to do obviously didn't work.
Yeah, and
well,
and I know that Liandrin talked about how she, and her sisters, they snuck into the camp and with, just a little lightning and everyone running for their mothers. And, Liandrin may not be always the most reliable source, but I do think that that's probably what ended up happening is that, they probably just came in and overwhelmed them. But, maybe we'll see more. I'm hoping we get even more of Logain's backstory. I don't necessarily know if we will, but that would be fantastic if we did. More about Logain. Kathy, I want to get your take on this. What did you think of the way that corruption on the male half of the one power manifested with the two, not one, but the 2 voices that were speaking to him in his ear? What was your take on that?
Yeah, the darkness, that corruption feels so oily, which is how it was described in the books, and having that visually so distinct and so powerful, you can tell that it's not that it's like wrapped around the one power. You can see that it's connected to that. So it's not a different power. Like the visualization about it and how you see the power, and until he channels it, it's still white like the Aes Sedai are. And so as soon as he channels it, that's when when the corruption comes around it, it makes it dark and oily and gross. And that's just really powerful to see that visualization and really make it work the way that it did.
Yeah, it's a real simple way of explaining a fairly complex concept that's in the books, but it worked for me. I agree too. And what was new and what was new in the show that the filmmakers brought to this that wasn't necessarily in the books was this visual manifestation of the whispering voices. We know from the books that so many that when a man goes mad from the taint on the male half of the one power, that what happens is that eventually they start hearing the voices of their past lives, and those drive him toward madness. And here, that's what Logan is seeing. And I love that we see the Weaves become a physical person, literally whispering in his ear. We can't make out their features, but I thought that was a really neat way of doing it. And Logan sincerely believes that these whispering voices are the voices of past dragons, of past incarnations of his life. And it's Moiraine at the end of this show who bursts his bubble and says, straight up, I want you to know. And we know that Moiraine cannot lie with the Three-Oaths, right? And so she says, I want you to know that the voices you are hearing are manifestations of madness. And you kind of see it in Logain's eyes, where he kind of he's almost scared in that moment. He's scared, oh crap, what if she's right? And he's not really having it.
I mean, I'm gonna not argue necessarily, even though that is my MO with you. I love you greatly. But Moiraine can tell no lie that is not true.
That she believes to not be true. Yeah.
So, but it's all what she believes. And so her belief that this can't be the Dragon Reborn because he's too old and already that doesn't necessarily mean that these are not manifestations doesn't necessarily mean that it's not his past lives that are manifesting in the talking. We think that they're not the dragon. We don't know who the dragon is, but probably not Logain. But it very well could be Logain's previous lives.
I agree with that. I agree that they are his past lives. He just is not the dragon, and therefore those are not past dragons that are speaking to him. Somebody pointed out here in the chat that in the subtitles of the show, those voices have a name. Or at least one of them is given a name on screen. And I had the subtitles turned off for the first 20-30 minutes of the episode on the rewatch here, so I didn't see what that name was, but I found it interesting that that's a named character.
It's a nice touch. It's Elusha. Elusha. So it'll be really interesting to see if that comes back, or if it was just somebody named, or what sort of connection that has, because it could be anything.
Yeah, and one other aspect of Logan's backstory that we get here is that there's a reference to, was it in this episode or was it I think it was this episode, either this one or the previous episode, where it had to have been this one because it's the first time we showed him, where there's a mention of his parents and his sister or his siblings or something. At the very beginning, there's a reference there that I think the voices say to him something like if kill him, kill the king here, because he's just going to betray you if you don't. Remember what happened look what happened to your family, look what happened to your sisters. And I found that to be really interesting. I'm hoping that we're going to see more of his backstory. Even though we know by this episode he is gentle, we know this is not the end of Logain's story, because he's still around, although I would love to see more, but I can also see that line being the only part of Logan's past that we see. Maybe something else, part of the animated story or whatever would come in and tell more, but really that's all you need to know. He was betrayed by family. Yeah. But yet he still chooses not to kill the king, and that's a lot. Yeah, and Now let's shift over to another male channeler that we're, in addition to Logan, we get a lot of this here in the show, is Owen. So Owen is Tom's nephew. Kathy, what was your take on Tom's story and how Owen played into it? And and then I have a crazy theory to throw at you after you.
We'll start with the crazy theory. I want to know your crazy theory.
So the crazy theory, I can't take credit for it because I read it online because that's what I do these days, right? Like all of us, whatever. But someone had this crazy theory that in the opening of episode 1, that the person we see gentled there by Leandrin is Owen. Now, I guess that wouldn't make sense because it happened years ago. How that happened right beforehand. But I like whoever came up with that theory. I like the thinking that maybe that was Owen, that this was another male channel that we saw. But no, the time frame didn't work out for that.
No, it doesn't make sense, timing or anything, but it works. Yeah, I've always loved that story and that connection for Tom. And after such a great introduction in episode 3, seeing him solidify, he's not just, this mean-spirited, drinking, performing, burying random person. He's getting more of that connection of a character, and you see his protectiveness and why he's doing what he's doing. So if you don't know his character from the books, you're ready to listen to learn why he's there and why he protects them and why he fights the Fade and tells them to run.
Yeah, and that Fade fight is right out of the books. I know it's in a different, it's not in the same exact location as the books, but in general, that that is consistent. That's Tom taking on a Fade, in order for Matt and Rand to be able to escape. So that's straight out of the books. And the connection that what he's making. We talked about earlier the evidence. Each one of these 5 candidates needs to have evidence that they could be the Dragon Reborn, and Matt's presented. Tom presents this evidence to the audience in a way on behalf of Matt, basically saying like, look, this guy could be it. We're thinking that he could be it because of the madness that is manifesting, or the corruption, I should say, that's manifesting around Matt. So so for viewers who haven't read the books, this is, they are seeing, they see Matt and they see Nynaeve today both having their evidence presented in such a grand way. So we had, shifting over to let's chat real quick about the Egwene and Perrin and the Tinkerers. I don't know about you, Kathy, but even though I knew from the books that it probably would have happened, every time I watch that scene, I'm totally like, oh my gosh, Egwene, please just kiss Aram, because that's happening. I want that ship to be a thing, but I don't know if that ship is going to be a thing in the show.
No, it's so not right. Egwene is still mourning. She's still in love with Rand and doesn't know that Rand's alive. Her heart is not available, clearly. Yeah. And good on Aram for recognizing that and being that friend that boundary, and connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
I like how they handled that, and they have his character. He feels right. It's so correct. It's so real. But so I like him so much better in the show than I do in the book.
That's true. Yeah, he's not a very likable. He is a less likable character in the books. Yeah. And I wonder why that is. I think because in the books he comes across as bitter. He rebels against the way of the leaf, and that
he's pouting.
He's pouting.
Very childish in his things, and I like the change that they made about having the leaving the Tinkers at 20, like having that break and that time to kind of take that moment and spend it away. I like how that lets it feel more like a choice which makes sense. As opposed to a cult, it's more of like a religion and a lifestyle choice, and that's really, really nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think I commented this in the Twitter stream, but I think that um, I've always loved how if Perrin is the right character to have that conversation with Isla and the other Tinkerers. I mean, we saw him in the first episode go into this berserker rage, right? You know,
Yeah.
and it cost him, and cost him a lot. But he went into that. And he was kind of obsessed with with the anger, which is very true to his character in the books as well. The whole bigger than everybody else. He's got to be gentle on these. He's got to be careful as to not go too far. And when he finally does go too far, there's devastating consequences. So he's very familiar with that. And then here he is talking about a pacifist lifestyle, and it's just so foreign to him. Perrin doesn't love violence. He's not the person. He doesn't necessarily seek it out, but he is, I'll say, good at it, and he has found it's a part of who he is. For better or worse, it's a part of who he is. And then suddenly he's thrown into a whole caravan full of pacifists. It's a really nice contrast, and he's that perfect person to speak to with Isla. Tell me what you thought about that. What Isla's thing? What greater revenge against violence than peace? What greater revenge against death than life? Break that down for me.
I mean, that whole scene was so beautifully written and so perfectly performed by the great Maria Doyle Kennedy. I knew she was going to be amazing. I knew that the Isla that she brought to the screen would be perfection, but I still wasn't ready for it. I loved every moment of it. I hope that this scene and this conversation that Perrin has with Isla helps his journey towards healing in a way that none of his friends could know. Obviously, they don't know that he killed his wife anyways, but this is all a personal journey that he's very reserved, keeps everything close to the chest, and being able to turn around and say, have a conversation and support the Tinkers and be able to like fix their wagons and then sit and talk about, war and peace and reincarnation, especially with missing his wife and having this journey and not knowing if the rest of his friends are still alive, having that moment of almost like a mom support in a different way that he really, really needed at a time that he couldn't get it from Egwene. She's clearly doing the best that she can to support him and give him the care that he needs. But there's nothing like an Isla in your life being able to come around and say, here, this is why I'm doing this. This is what is going on. This is why this is happening the way that it needs to.
You made up a great point just a minute ago that I hadn't considered, but in this world, it's generally known and accepted by everyone that that time is a wheel and that lives are spun out again and again. And it makes me wonder that when Isla is talking to Perrin about how even though things seem bleak right here in this life, in the long view of things, time is a wheel and there'll be other chances and other life will always return. And that's a really interesting and profound thing to say to a man who just watched his wife die, what must have been going
killed his wife.
Just killed his wife.
Yeah.
And,
but she doesn't know that either.
Yeah,
and that's what almost makes it more powerful in that this conversation that she has about why the way of the leaf is the way that she wants it to do and why she believes it so deeply is without that knowledge of the blood that's on Perrin's hands and without knowing his history, which almost goes to show how deeply she believes every piece of it and why she supports all of it, because she knows like she's going to tell anybody this story that needs to hear it. She can just sense that this is someone that is ready to hear what I have to say and ready to like proclaim and listen to what is going on. And it just so happens that it happens to be because Perrin needed that really badly.
Yeah, I think so. And going back to the fact that he did kill his wife, and that's been a big topic. And I know you talk about this in your podcast. For this episode, which is dropping tomorrow.
Yep.
So dragonmount.com/podcast. Kathy and Rajiv and Maureen break down this episode. But one of the things that they talk about in that is Perrin and his wife and how that was a change from the books. And but I don't know. I know it's been controversial, but for me, I think that it has worked on so many levels because, first of all, I think it's one of those things that, as a writer myself, I look at that and I think it's actually, in fact, stronger in terms of true to his character. I know that there's problems with, some people, rightly so, have concerns about, well, it's just whenever a female character dies to motivate a man, we can do better than that in the writing. But for the most part, I think that in this case, I think it's very true to Perrin's character that he lost someone close to him. Like we were talking about earlier, this idea of Perrin not knowing his own strength, of being lost in that rage, and this is all stuff that's really true to his character, and we see that manifest in the books even in a different way, especially in the later books. But with regards to this evidence that each one of the five need, if you're familiar with the books, the previous dragon, Lews Therin, and what he did at the end of his life, why they call him Kinslayer. And so if you're looking at another piece of evidence here, that we've got Lews Therin, who killed his wife, and then we've got Perrin now, who killed his wife, and so there's another connection there that's made, that strengthens this the narrative as much. So,
and it shows the journey that he's going to go down in a way that you couldn't have outside of the books, because in the books you have a lot of that internal monologue, and you can't just have a voiceover. Like, this isn't a 90s rom-com where oh, hey, that's me. Sure, bet you were wondering what was coming. Yeah, you can't. That would not work. That would not work. And so, yes, it's horrible that let's create a female character that's going to be dying to give motivation to the man. But there's so much more to it, and there's so much care and support in it that I think it ends up being not a real trope so much as like an actual legitimate good way to present.
For sure.
These changes.
In this particular case with Perrin, knowing what Perrin is as a character, and also knowing where he's going to be going in the future. No spoilers, but for those who have read the books, where Perrin goes, and the people he meets, and and the things that evolve from that. And so, knowing what he did, that he killed his wife, in the first episode, is a great setup for those future encounters and character relationships and other things too as well. So there's a couple of people who in the comments that are asking about the fact that Perrin doesn't have his axe yet here in the show. Kathy, do you have any thoughts on that? Because in the books, of course, he takes it. He leaves the two rivers, and he's got it. He's got that.
Yeah. He had the axe and the hammer in the first episode. And
it's true. And his wife was when they were fighting in the blacksmithy there. His wife was fighting with a hammer, and he was fighting with an axe, which I thought was a real nice touch there.
So I yes, from the books, it's a huge part of his character. It's a big part of his journey and his story. I think you could easily cut that out completely and be fine, and have it be other places. I am not involved in the show. I'm just saying, for myself, you could pull that out and still have it be a part of the story. Like you don't need it to tell his plot.
Yeah, you're right in that regard too. But I also think that right now, from a filmmaking point of view, the focus that the filmmakers have, in addition to introducing these characters, is this whole idea of who is the dragon, and that mystery is what's driving season one. Certainly so far for the first 4 episodes, and and beyond. And so, and not having not seen the end of the season, neither Kathy or I have seen the last 2 episodes, but this mystery is going to go all the way up until the final episodes, I'm guessing, right? And so once we get beyond that mystery, once we figure out and conclusively identify who the dragon is, then I think what's going to happen is that we can start to see these characters become their more iconic versions. We're going to see, once we get past these things, and I'm not saying who or who isn't the dragon, but if you've read the books, it's that same person. Don't worry about it. If you're concerned that they are changing the dragon,
it's been confirmed.
It's not. It's locked in stone. It's a done deal. Come on. Come on. It's the wheel of time. We know who the dragon is. But the mystery that was presented in the first book and is here also presented in the first season, just leaned in a little more heavily because Jordan really tipped his hat early on. But the show is not doing that. The mystery that is built up as to who the dragon is. Once we get beyond that, each character can become this iconic version of themselves. For instance, Matt, whether or not he is the dragon or not, Matt, we're going to lean into his luck and his, his past lives, and in his memories, and the hat and the, Ashendari staff. Like, these are iconic Matt things that we're going to get to. Rand with his red and gold coats, and and the tattoos, like, these are things we're going to get to, and so same with Perrin. I think that we're going to get to the iconic Perrin of Axe versus Rafe, Axe versus Hammer. And what I was going to say is that Rafe recently commented even that, like, this, it's Perrin, it's Axe. I mean, this is a character, like, I think you can, to your point, Kathy, tell that story, but I think that we're going to get there to the point where, Perrin is going to embrace that Axe. I think it will be probably a great character moment too when it happens.
Well, and it's obviously going to be different. It's not going to be one that Master Llewellyn made for a guard that didn't get, like, you don't need that deep backstory to have it be a part of his arc. And so I think I'm excited to see what happens with it. I'm excited to see where it comes from.
Yeah, I think so too. So all right, so we this was I think we're going to wrap here because, but first I wanted to let everyone know, so tomorrow, Saturday, is when Amazon allows us to lift the embargo on everything that we are covering. So Dragamount has got, tomorrow we're going to have our written review will go up on the front page. We will have a full episode synopsis in great detail written by Crystal from our staff. That will be on dragamount.com/TV. So you can get a scene-by-scene breakdown of everything that happened. That will be up there. We will have a episode up on YouTube where Tom gives his top 5 hot takes on the show. Kathy, you and your team will have a new podcast episode dropping tomorrow that you can get anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcasts. And also that same podcast will
including YouTube.
It will be on YouTube, exactly. We will have a YouTube episode played with the audio of that podcast. So we at Dragamount, I've got a whole bunch of content dropping tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll do that, every Saturday after the new episode drops. So you can get all those. Just subscribe to all our socials. Anything else that I forgot here, Kathy?
Also at 11 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow, Tom with a surprise guest will do something similar to what we're doing right now, but coming up with their ideas, their thoughts. Feel free to join in on that conversation too. Talk about the best episode of the best show on TV right now.
I can't wait to have the conversation with you after the next 2 episodes drop to see if you still think that episode 4 is the best, because the next 2 are incredible as well. So.
Yep. They're great. I'm not like having this episode be a 10 does not minimize the 9 and 9.5 of episodes 5 and 6.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, anyway, thank you everyone here for joining us here in this live stream. Thank you also for joining us on our live tweet stream earlier. If you missed it, you can go back to the @DragonMount Twitter account and look at our post. There's a big, long, single thread. You can view the whole thing. We'll probably put this up on our news page as well, and we'll put a link in the show notes if you're looking at this on YouTube or wherever else you're checking it. We'll put a link to it so you can read the whole thing there. So please stop by tomorrow, Saturday, to see all of our new content. Check out Kathy's podcast, and in general, check out dragonmount.com/TV for all the information about this show, including all the graphics and screen captures and other information and latest news. All right, so thanks for joining us, everyone.
All right, this is not the ending, but it's an ending. So have a good night, everybody.
Goodbye.